Picture this. It's 2 in the morning on a freezing December night, and Sarah Matthews is standing in her doorway, staring at 15 leather-clad bikers revving their engines in her driveway. Her kids are asleep upstairs. Her phone is dead, and these strangers just saved her life in a way she never saw coming. Sarah was a single mom of 3 in a small town outside Nashville, working double shifts at the diner, barely making rent, doing everything she could to keep her family afloat. Every morning started at 5. Every night ended past midnight. The kind of exhaustion that gets into your bones and stays there. She didn't know anyone in town, really. Kept to herself. That was her mistake. One cold night in December, Sarah's heating system died. Just quit. The old furnace made a grinding sound, coughed out one last breath of warm air, and went silent. And with temperatures dropping below freezing, she had no money to fix it and no one to call. She bundled her kids in every blanket she owned, piled their winter coats on top of them, but by midnight, she could see their breath in the air, little clouds forming with every exhale. That's when panic set in. Real panic. The kind that makes your chest tight and your hands shake. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this from Untold Story 0.4. Now here's where it gets interesting. Earlier that week, Sarah had done something small. Something she didn't think twice about. A biker had broken down outside the diner where she worked. Big guy, covered in tattoos, riding with a local motorcycle club. His Harley sat there, smoking on the side of the road. Sarah brought him coffee while he waited for his buddy. Didn't charge him, just smiled through her exhaustion and said everyone needs help sometimes. He looked surprised, like he wasn't used to kindness from strangers. That biker's name was Marcus, and Marcus never forgot kindness. So when Sarah made a desperate post on the town's Facebook group at 1 in the morning begging for help, for anyone who knew about heating systems, Marcus saw it. He read about her 3 kids sleeping in a freezing house. He made one phone call, then another, then another. Within 10 minutes, he had a plan. 15 minutes later, Sarah heard the rumble. That deep, unmistakable thunder of motorcycle engines cutting through the frozen silence. The sound got louder, closer. She looked out her window and her heart stopped. Bikers, lots of them, rolling up to her house in the dead of night, like some scene from a movie. Chrome gleaming under the streetlights. Leather jackets, bandanas. Every horror story she'd ever heard flashed through her mind. She thought about her kids upstairs and felt sick. But then she saw Marcus walking up to her door. Behind him, his entire club. The guardians, they called themselves. And they weren't there to cause trouble. They were there to fix everything. One guy was an electrician. Another worked in HVAC. 2 more were contractors. A 4th owned an auto shop. Within minutes, they had toolboxes out, work lights set up, and were diagnosing her heating system. Sarah just stood there crying, completely overwhelmed. These rough-looking strangers she'd been terrified of were crawling under her house in freezing temperatures to help her children. She could hear them working, metal clanging, tools whirring, voices calling out instructions to each other. By 4 in the morning, warm air was flowing through her vents. The sound of that furnace kicking back on was the most beautiful thing Sarah had ever heard. But the bikers weren't done. They'd noticed her roof was leaking. Her porch steps were rotting. Her car, sitting in the driveway, needed new brakes. Over the next 3 days, the guardians came back, fixed everything, brought groceries. One biker's wife brought clothes for the kids. Another left toys. They treated her home like it was their own families. Sarah tried to pay them, offered everything she had, every dollar she'd saved. Marcus just shook his head. He told her about his own single mom who'd raised him alone, about the strangers who'd helped them when they had nothing. He said kindness travels in circles, and that cup of coffee she'd given him had completed one. His eyes got wet when he said it. The story spread through town like wildfire. Turns out the Guardians have been doing this for years, helping veterans, single parents, anyone struggling. They just never advertised it. They rode loud, but helped quiet. That was their way. Sarah's life changed that winter. The bikers became family. Her kids grew up knowing that sometimes angels wear leather jackets and ride Harleys. That you can't judge someone by how they look. That the loudest engines can belong to the gentlest souls. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done in this situation. Would you have opened that door? Share this story with your riding buddies who need to hear this. Because sometimes the people who look the toughest have the biggest hearts. And sometimes one small act of kindness can change everything. What's the kindest thing a stranger ever did for you?